There's a reason why over 3 million people visit this beautiful city every year, and people love it enough that they want to move here, and that's Temecula Valley. I'm Catherine Kim, your Temecula Valley Realtor, and I'm here to talk about the top 5 reasons why people want to move to Temecula. These are reasons that my husband and I also considered before we moved here almost 2 years ago. So I'm here to provide a fresh, recent perspective of our experience moving here, as well as some things that we wish we knew before we moved here. So you're not going to want to miss it. Stay tuned. Reason number 1, affordability. Now, when we think about and talk about affordability, it's going to be different relative to other states, other locations, but I'm just speaking specifically about affordability in Southern California. I think it's not new news that living in the coastal cities would be ideal because the weather is always perfect there. You're right by the ocean. However, it is not affordable at all. It's actually quite expensive to live in the coastal cities. My husband and I used to live in Orange County, specifically in Huntington Beach. And so for us, it definitely was a no-brainer that we would not be able to afford buying a home anywhere in the coastal cities of Orange County, especially for what we were looking for. You know, there were a lot of things that were important to us, and space was one of them. Having a sizable backyard was also another. And so these are definitely things that it would be hard to get in Orange County, anywhere sub 1 million. So, you know, it was pretty clear that we had to look outside of Orange County, but we also didn't want to go too far, and we weren't ready to move out of state, especially because we just love California and we love Southern California. So we really had to look at our options and try to look at what nearby areas or locations can we afford that would not be crazy far from a lot of the places that we frequent. Family is important to us as well. We didn't want to be too far from family. So Temecula was a city that we looked at, and that was definitely a place that we felt, relative to the coastal cities, Orange County, even relative to San Diego, Temecula was just more affordable. We were looking for a house that, you know, was a certain square footage because we wanted a certain number of bedrooms, certain number of bathrooms. My husband and I both work from home mainly, so we both needed our own offices. We also planned on having kids, and so we wanted to make sure that we could grow into the home and raise our kids there. So that was definitely of importance. We also had a dog at the time, and so having a yard, a place to run around for our dog, for our future kids, was also another thing that was really valuable to us as well. So we were looking at homes that had backyard, not just like a small patio-sized backyard. We wanted something that we could truly throw a football, and run around in. So Temecula definitely provided those options for us. Another thing that we were looking at in terms of affordability, could we find something that was relatively move-in ready? We didn't want to look for something that was a complete fixer-upper, something that wasn't too dated, too old. And so a lot of the things that were within our budget anywhere in San Diego or Orange County were just something that you would either have to tear down or completely gut rehab to the studs. So again, we were looking at Temecula, and the surrounding areas had provided a lot more options that we could see ourselves actually living in. So affordability is definitely a big one. If you are looking to find something of a certain size, a backyard, something that's move-in ready, I would say Temecula and the surrounding areas, Marietta, Wildomar, Menifee, Winchester. Those are areas that you could certainly find with move-in ready homes, and even new construction, new build homes, where you can enter in the mid $500,000 to $600,000 range. They take VA loans. They also have a lot of concessions for the buyers as well, promotions. So I would say Temecula Valley is a plus in my book to be able to find a home that would be relatively affordable, and it's a great home for even a starter home, or a forever home, who knows, So if you are looking to find something specifically like I just described, Temecula Valley is the place to be. Reason number 2 is education. Now, we knew, my husband and I, that we wanted to start a family and we wanted to have multiple kids. And so not having to move again just so that they could get a good education was important to us. So we really wanted to set our foundation, set our roots in a community where we knew that we wanted to raise our children and stay, and them having a great education. And so Temecula Valley, especially in our area of Temecula, there are some great schools that are highly rated, and that was really important to us so that we knew that our kids were going to have a good education from elementary school, middle school, and up to high school as well. Also, being a realtor and being in real estate, I also know that typically when you live in an area that has great school ratings, that is also really great for long-term real estate value. So if you are in a great school district, that means that more people that are also have families that are also considering schools as well for their children, they're going to want to move there, and therefore the values typically are stable, and they will stay high and maybe even go up. Reason number 3 is a family-friendly environment. So for us, in the way that my husband and I grew up, we were always surrounded by community, and we were surrounded by other families, and it was just a family-friendly environment where we both lived. And we're originally from Chicago, actually, so we're Midwesterners, true and true. We grew up there, and growing up there was such a pleasant experience. And from my own personal experience, I grew up in a suburban neighborhood where there were block parties. I could rollerblade to my friend's house just a few blocks away. I could walk to school, and there were, school buses and all of that. So it just kind of felt like a picture perfect suburban community. And that's just something that I've always wanted for my future children. We felt that coming to Temecula and just kind of seeing all the communities here, where it's really built to be very family friendly. There are lots of great schools here. There's a lot of communities where it's pretty much mainly families with kids, and there's a lot of public parks here. So honestly, like every community you drive to or go to, there's always a park, and they're big, beautiful parks too. There's even a park district with a pool. They are just constantly remodeling all the parks and creating new playgrounds for kids. There's a children's museum. There's a lot of community events that are done and held for families, and movie nights at the park. So it's really just feels like that family-friendly vibes that we were really looking for here, and community vibes that we were looking for, where it kind of feels like a small town where a lot of people know each other and they grew up together, or a lot of people, you might run into them every now and then, because it just kind of feels like that close-knit small community here. And so that is something that I truly cherish and really loved when I was growing up, but it's definitely something that I wanted to provide for my family, and I wanted my kids to also grow up with an experience. And so I would say living in Temecula and Temecula Valley in general really provides those types of environments for children and for families in general. Reason number 4 is location and accessibility. Temecula is one of those areas where it's kind of sort of central, depending on how you look at it. So if you frequent San Diego, if you frequent Orange County, Temecula is like right in the middle. So it's kind of great in terms of location for those reasons, because you can go to Orange County anytime, you can go to San Diego anytime if you're looking for more of like city vibes or wanting to get out for the weekend. If you need to go to Orange County for things like appointments or, you know, taking your kids to Disneyland or something like that, that's also not too far away. And if you want to go to the beach and go to the ocean, because Temecula is more in the valley, so we're more surrounded by mountains. But if you are looking to go to the beach, the closest beach probably would be Oceanside or Carlsbad Beach if you're wanting to go somewhere really close. But if you're more privy to like the beaches in Orange County, you could always access those, and both are not too far away. I would say Orange County is more like an hour, hour and a half away, depending on traffic, but the beaches in San Diego are more like 40, 45 minutes away. So you have access to a few different airports. People like to go to Ontario Airport or San Diego Airport from here, but you could also go to John Wayne Airport. Those would be the three closest airports, and all pretty much relatively around the same distance, I would say. So the closest airports here are pretty much like an hour away. But in terms of why the location was great for my husband and I is, you know, we really love going to San Diego, and also we didn't want to be too far from our family, and my family happens to still live in Orange County. So we wanted to have access to both. And so Temecula being in the middle was kind of perfect for us, because we can be in like a nice, quaint, quiet, beautiful neighborhood in Temecula. But whenever we miss going to the beach, we can go to the beach. If we miss going to the city and feel like we want to go downtown somewhere, we'll do a quick drive to San Diego. And, you know, if we want to visit our family, I could always see our family. My family can always see us and feel like they're also getting away coming to the Temecula wine country area. So location for us has been pretty ideal. Also, you know, there's other, especially with families with kids in San Diego, there's also a lot of other things that you could do with kids, like Legoland, SeaWorld, the San Diego Zoo, and those are all also not too far away either. There's a lot of hiking here. There's a lot of places to go, even just within our area. So it's not like we're always having to leave Temecula to do things. There's lots of things and plenty of things to do just within our area ourselves. So I wouldn't worry about that. But if you are looking to have access to Orange County and San Diego, if you need to commute or work in any of those areas, or even LA, LA is going to be a farther drive, definitely, especially with traffic. But if you do need to commute, you can. And you can also, people live here and they also often commute to Orange County or San Diego too. So in terms of location, it's not, you know, the closest to everything. Like not everything is just going to be 20 minutes away in terms of like going to, you know, Orange County or San Diego. But in terms of your basic necessities, like going to the grocery store, going shopping, taking your kids to the park and all that, that's all relatively 10 to 20 minutes away. So you have everything that you need here to live and to enjoy living here. But like I said, if you do need to go and commute to work in Orange County or San Diego, or if you ever need to go there just because you want to and have fun for the weekend, it's basically an hour to an hour and a half drive. Sometimes when traffic gets really bad, it will be 2 hours, but you know, if you time it right, you can get there within like an hour and a half. So it's not too bad. I would say living in California, you just kind of expect to drive those distances because it's just so spread out here, especially in SoCal. So driving an hour or so is not new to us. If it's something that you're fine with, then it's a great place to live. Reason number 5 is lifestyle and activities. Living in Temecula, there are lots of activities to do here and lots of things that you can do outdoors, which is another reason why my husband and I thought this was a great place to live. We are big outdoors people. We love nature. We love going outside. We love going for walks and just kind of exploring and doing things. And that is something that Temecula was able to provide more than enough of. So that's something that we absolutely love about Temecula, is just how beautiful it is out here. We are surrounded by mountains and beautiful scenery, just 360 degrees of scenery feels like. So just going outside, walking outside your house, leaving your front door and just taking a walk just feels like it's just bliss, honestly. We're lucky enough to be nearby a lot of walking trails and be nearby some parks that we can easily get to just from, walking outside our front door. So that's another thing too, just about like being part of a community and being somewhere that's family friendly, is just that there's so many family friendly parks and things that you could easily walk to from your house depending on where you live. And so where we live, there's walking trails that we could easily get to, and there's parks that we love walking around, and there's hiking as well. There's hiking. There's a lot of community parks that also have facilities, recreational facilities like tennis courts and pickleball courts. We actually just got, I think, 16 or 17 new pickleball courts that were put in at the Ronald Reagan Park that's not too far from here. So that was really cool and exciting. There's also splash pad parks for your kids. So, if you can't take them to a water park, you can take them to a splash pad for the young ones. So that's always fun for them, especially because it gets really hot in Temecula. So that is something that, and I'll kind of get to that later, is just how hot it can get here. But having a pool, having that splash pad that's public that you can take your kids to, having a community pool even to take your kids to has been really great. And that's also something that a lot of the communities here are community pools within your HOA. So I think that is definitely a perk. A lot of the HOA communities here have other amenities as well, like definitely community parks and playgrounds and their own tennis courts and recreational facilities and community centers where they have classes and get-togethers and meetings for the neighborhood, as well as fitness classes or cooking classes that they may host there sometimes, movie nights, parties. So those are all things that are really great perks when you live in an HOA community. And that is something that I will go over in a future video, are all the HOA communities here in Temecula. But right now, definitely just to go back to the point of the activities and the lifestyle here. So not only are there a lot of outdoor activities, there's also a lot of other activities too, like the wineries especially. That's probably the thing that I should have mentioned first is, of course, Temecula is known for being wine country here. It's like, I would say, another version of Napa. We have, I think, over 40 wineries here. And I feel like every year there's always like a couple more that open up. But the wineries are fantastic. They're beautiful. It's inexpensive to have a wine membership at any of these wineries. And it's great just for social outings or just to grab a quick glass of wine and dinner with your husband, date nights, all of that. The wineries are great. It's also a big tourist hotspot. So a lot of times people will visit from LA, Orange County, San Diego, or even out of state to check out wine country here. So it's definitely something that Temecula is widely known for. And we have some really notable, famous wine brands here as well. One of them is Wilson Creek. So if you ever see Wilson Creek wine bottles on your grocery store shelves, that is a winery that is well known here. There's also a lot of other wineries too, and I have some favorites that I can talk about later as well. There's also Old Town Temecula. So that is our downtown. It's a really cool Western kind of style downtown with lots of restaurants and bars and brunch places and cafes. And so that is something that's really cool to check out, and also another tourist hotspot for visitors there too, to kind of check out like the old school Western gold rush vibes of the town, which we're really proud of. There's also shopping. Your grocery stores are here everywhere. We have a mall called Promenade Mall. That's great for a lot of shopping as well. And we also have, there's a lot of weekend activities at a lot of the parks here too. Sometimes the parks will have like movie nights, like I think I mentioned before, Easter egg hunts during the holidays, Christmas festivals, all of that, Christmas lighting festivals. Christmas tree lighting is a big one. We also have ice skating rinks during the holidays. So it gets really fun here, especially during the holidays, and there are definitely lots of things to do. And there's also Pachanga, the casino that's here in Temecula as well, which is like a big spot for nightlife and also has some really good restaurants, I will say myself. So if you're not into gambling, but you want to check out some of the restaurants and maybe just check out some of like the nightlife there, people go there for dancing, people go there for the restaurants. They have a beautiful, great steakhouse called Great Oak Steakhouse. The Asian restaurants there are also really pretty good, I would recommend. And there's also a pool there and a spa that is kind of like a Vegas resort style pool, which is pretty cool. And the spa is also very nice and luxurious. So it is a great spot. Pachanga also hosts a lot of artists for concerts and shows, so that's also kind of neat. So sometimes there's like A-list stars and A-list bands and music artists that actually perform there. It's nice that it's like a venue that's pretty local that they come to. So I thought that was neat. So there's really, you can't run out of things to do in this area and outside this area for sure. Some other cool activities that I may not have mentioned are also hot air balloons. Hot air balloons are something that not a lot of people know about, but if you live in Temecula, you've definitely seen them. If you ever wanted to know or experience taking a hot air balloon, the hot air balloons here go out every single day, every morning from the wine country area of Temecula. It's a really cool sight to see. Also, another thing is golf courses. We have quite a few 18-hole courses here. Some of them are public, a couple of them are part of a country club, but the courses here are beautiful. I will say myself, I've played in a few of them. I would say it's, on par with some of the beautiful golf courses that we have throughout Southern California. So it's another thing that we offer here in Temecula. Also, another thing too is we have quite a few spas. We have outdoor day spas. We also have spas at the wineries and also a resort spa with Pachanga. So if you're into self-care and taking care of yourself or wanting to get a massage or a facial, we have some spas that can offer that here in Temecula. And then for the kids who are big into sports, we have quite a few sports parks here for some other activities too. So if you guys have kids, that are part of any sort of sports team, we have plenty of sports parks with soccer fields, baseball fields, basketball courts, and tennis courts, especially for those who are on team sports. A lot of times they will practice there and do their games there. All right, those are the top 5 reasons why people choose to move to Temecula and the reasons why my husband and I chose to move here as well. And just to recap, they were number 1, affordability, 2, education, 3, family-friendly environment, 4, location and accessibility, and 5, lifestyle and activities. Now, I remember in the beginning of the video, I actually mentioned that I would talk about a couple things that my husband and I wish we knew before we moved to Temecula. And one of the things that we wished we knew was exactly how hot it really got here in Temecula. Now, I know that there's quite a few people that mention that it does get hot here. And I will say it can get hot like it does in the desert. But what we didn't know was how hot it got and for how long it stays hot. So I will say some of the things that we considered were definitely weather and moving to California and why we love California so much. And we were coming from Orange County and living in a coastal city. We definitely got spoiled and got used to the beautiful climate that is always there, especially in Huntington Beach, where it's just like mid 70s, like all year long. And it has that ocean breeze all the time. And so we were definitely spoiled with that. But moving to Temecula, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the weather is beautiful here too. There's definitely quite a few months throughout the year where it's just beautiful, it's sunny, it's, perfect weather outside to just wear a t-shirt and shorts or whatever. But in the summertime, I wanna say starting from anywhere even in April to all the way to sometimes October, it will get hot, and it will be pool weather from, you know, mid to high 80s all the way to the mid 100s, like 110, 111, and it's dry heat. So, you know, for some people, dry heat is definitely, you can deal with dry weather sometimes easier than if it was humid or dry heat than over humid heat, but it still gets really hot. And so that is something that really surprised us as to how hot it got and how long it stays hot. It almost feels like we're in Texas sometimes. That would be something that would be a negative for us, maybe for some people. Maybe some people love the heat. I know that for me, I don't always love the heat so much, not all the time, but it would be very advantageous if you had a pool. So that's another thing too, is if we had known that it was so hot like this all the time, and being outdoorsy people ourselves and we love being outside, we probably would have highly considered getting a house with a pool, just because it's easier when you have your own pool sometimes for access. But, you know, having a pool, whether it's in your community or in your home, that is definitely a good thing to have living in Temecula. And then another thing too is something that we also wish we knew before we moved here is just, you know, city planning of Temecula isn't completely adjusted to how rapidly Temecula has grown in the past few years. You know, a lot of people are constantly moving every day to Temecula from, you know, Orange County, San Diego, other cities, NorCal, or even out of state, they're moving to Temecula. And so this city has seen rapid growth in the past few years, but the infrastructure of this city has not quite caught up yet. But the positive thing is they are improving and they're working on it, and they're already working on some things that will help to alleviate traffic. So it's things that the city are talking about and thinking about, and they're working on making improvements for. So that's at least a good thing, but it is something to consider if, you know, for someone, if you're moving here, maybe if you're not about traffic and not about it being in a busy area, and you're looking for something much more quieter, much more slower paced lifestyle. I mean, it's considered, comparing to other areas of Southern California, I would say this is pretty slow paced, but if you want something more slower, quieter, maybe I would reconsider living here. But Temecula is still a really beautiful, great suburb to live in. If you're considering making a move, what are some important aspects or reasons that you're strongly looking at when considering a new place to call home? Let me know in the comments below, as I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you're looking to move to Temecula Valley, feel free to call me, text me, or email me anytime with any questions at all. Whether you're looking to move in a month or in a year, I'd still love to hear from you and help you out. Now, if you found this video helpful and would love to learn more about the ins and outs of living in Temecula Valley, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so that you can be notified immediately on when my next video comes out. And until then, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.